G'day guys, welcome back to another video on the channel, and in today's video we're going to be going over my season predictions, my ladder predictions, and we're going to be going over all the medal winners. We're going to be going over finals, so it should be a pretty long video. I'll try and stretch it out as long as I can. And also guys, this just goes without saying, but it's just my opinion, just my prediction, so no real need to give me some shit in the comments. There's going to be some pretty massive calls in this. I want to spice it up a little bit. I don't want to just do some generic predictions, so I thought spice it up a bit, make some massive calls, and you guys comment down below if you think I've made any stupid calls and what you would change. So to kick things off, we're going to be going from last to first, 18th to the minor premiership. We're going to be seeing where your team will finish, and if you guys agree with me or disagree, comment down below. I really want to know where you guys are predicting your team to finish in 2023. Sorry to all the Giants fans, but in 18th, we've got the GWS Giants. I really just think the Giants are going to have a pretty poor season. I feel like losing Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper, and Tanner Bruin is going to really hurt them. I think they're some really key players for the GWS Giants, and to lose them is a big loss for them. I think Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper, and Tanner Bruin are really key components to the Giants lineup in previous years, and without them, I don't see them doing too much in 2023. And you know, it really sucks. I want to see the Giants do well. I can really get around the GWS Giants, but I just can't see them doing too much in 2023, unfortunately. So that's why they're going to be 18th. Now, in 17th, I don't think this will come as a shock to many people. I've got the West Coast Eagles. I think they're a lock for bottom four. I think they've lost so many of their key players over the last few years. Like, when you look back, they had 2018, they were all, all their key players were 29, 30, all in their prime. But now most of them have retired, or they're just really aging. And I know, coming from a Geelong fan, you would think an aging list, maybe I could get around that. But the difference with Geelong, we've got a lot of youth, and we even it out a bit more. I feel like our coaching system's a lot better. I think Eagles is going to have another bit of a shambles year. But Eagles, I reckon they never stay at the bottom too long. They'll come back up soon in a few years, and I reckon they'll have a nice, easy run into finals in a few years. Coming in at 16th, I have the Hawthorn Hawks. Now, I've seen a lot of people tipping them bottom four, and I've definitely seen a lot of people tipping them to be wooden spooners. But I think I'm going to back the Hawks in a little bit more. I think they'll win a few games. I think they'll upset a few teams, even upset some top four teams, which will come as a surprise to many people. But I think Sam Mitchell and such a young list, I think they can actually really produce some great games. But unfortunately, in the long run, they're just not going to be good enough to make anywhere near top 8. So I think they're just going to be finished bottom 4. But in a few years, I reckon I can see the Hawks coming back up the ladder. But for this year, I think bottom 4, they're a lock for bottom 4. Maybe pushing 14th, but I've got them in 16th. And yeah. In 15th, I've got the North Melbourne Kangaroos. I think Alistair Clarkson is going to really help them, obviously. I think they're going to pick up a few wins throughout the season. I think they're going to jump up 3 or 4 spots, not finish wooden spoon for once. I think they're going to jump up a few spots, finish around 14th. From what we saw in the practice match against Richmond, I think that was really promising signs. I know it's only a practice match, but for North Melbourne to take it up to Richmond the way they did, with the pressure around the ball and the communication on the field and at the coach's box, you can really see that transition, that Alistair Clarkson game plan is really starting to come through. Now, this is where it gets big. This is my first big call, my first outlandish call for the season, and yeah, I could look back in a few months or at the end of the season and think, what an absolute dickhead, this team's just won the premiership, what am I doing? But in 14th spot, I have the Collingwood Magpies. Now, I know, don't run straight to the comments, that's a massive call, but I just think they got very lucky, and some people say it wasn't luck last year, but I still believe they got very, very lucky. I think they won a lot of close games they maybe shouldn't have. I know they took it up to the Cats in that qualifying final, but I still think they're going to drop off a little bit. I really rate Craig McRae as a coach, though, so it wouldn't surprise me if they make top 4 and even go as far as a prelim final or a grand final. But the Collingwood Magpies, they're going to slide a little bit 14th, and I think they're not going to be as good as people think they are. It might be just a bit of a reality check for the Collingwood Football Club. Coming in at 13th on my ladder prediction, I'm going to have the Essendon Bombers. I think they're going to pick up a few handy wins. I don't think they're going to be as good as a lot of people are saying. I think I've seen a few people predict them to be pushing for finals. I think they're a chance. But just how good is it to have Brad Scott back in the game? I'm a huge believer in the Scott brothers. I think Brad Scott will bring something in his second time around coaching that he didn't bring in his first time. I think just his second time coaching, you're always going to be better. You can improve. You know the game. And he's actually worked in the AFL over the past 12 to 14 months, which is really handy. He knows a bit of inside information about the game. I think that could really, really help the club and his coaching style. And I'm really keen to see what Brad Scott and the Essendon Bombers can do in 2023. In 13th, I've got the Adelaide Crows. Now, I've seen a few people put them inside their 8. I've even seen a few people on TikTok, believe it or not, put them inside their top 4. But I think 13th is a fair spot for the Adelaide Crows. I don't know where everyone's seeing their growth is going to come from in just a short amount of time. I don't think they're going to be that Collingwood that were there last year. Isaac Rankin could really help the Crows. I was a big believer and a big fan of Isaac Rankin when he was at the Suns, and I think at the Crows he could really step up and be that younger leader that the Crows really need him to be. They've got their new captain in Jordan Dawson, which is a bit of a surprise, but I think they're starting off a young captain. They obviously see something in him that not a lot of people see, and I think the Adelaide Crows, give them another few years, not this year, they're not going to make finals, give them another few years, and they'll be up contending again. Have the St Kilda Football Club. Now, at the start of pre-season, I would have had them in my top 8, even pushing for top 4, but after I've seen them in their few practice matches, they've not looked good at all. They've not looked convincing. Having Max King out is obviously going to be a huge loss. That's their big tall forward. I don't know who's going to replace them, and it's going to be a really, really slow and just painful season for the Saints, I feel, and it's just not going to be enjoyable for Saints fans. So, sorry Saints fans, I know you're pretty confident, you're pretty bullish on the Saints this year, but I just don't see whether... going without Max King, I don't really think you can go too far. However, like a lot of people, I'm really excited to see Ross Lyon back in the coaching game. I'm really excited to see what he can do this time around. He's known for his really slow and not really aggressive play style. I wonder if he can tweak that a little bit and get the Saints back into contention and potentially win a flag in the near future. I'm going to have the Western Bulldogs. Sorry, Bev, you're going to be missing out on finals this year, but I'm really unsure on the Western Bulldogs. I don't really know where they're at as a club. A few years ago, they were contending for a premiership. They were 1 quarter away from winning a premiership, and now I just can't put them in the 8. I don't see where their short-term growth is going to come from after barely making the 8 last year. I know they've got a premier midfielder with Dunkley leaving the club. I think that can free up Bontempelli to go play some more midfield minutes and not worry about the forward line, as well as Rory Lobb coming in from Fremantle. He's going to play a lot more forward, and Bontempelli can play a lot more midfield. Bailey Smith, I reckon he'll be averaging over 30 disposals a game. He's an absolute young gun of the competition who really find his form this year, who really take the next step and be that premier midfielder that we all know he can be. And I think the Bulldogs are a really good chance for the top 8, but I can't put them in the top 8. There's a lot of good teams above them, and until I see some improvement, I can't trust the Bulldogs to be in my top 8. Coming in at 9th, I have the Sydney Swans. Now, this is a big call to some people. Some people agree they won't make finals, but I'll tell you why they won't make finals and why they probably are locked to not make finals or get very close to making finals, and if not, just miss out. If history repeats itself, the Sydney Swans are definitely not going to make finals. They'll be pushing for finals come the later stages of the season. And what happens is, every time a team gets belted in the grand final by a large margin, they tend to not make finals the next year and have a really slow period for the next couple of years, which is unfortunate for the Swans. Luckily, my boys, the Cats, got up, but I really don't think the Swans are going to just improve. They're a very young side still, so there's a lot of potential growth, and they could very well prove me wrong and make the top 4. But I just don't think the Sydney Swans have the capabilities to come off that very harsh loss and still make the finals. This one I'm really excited for. Now, coming in at 8th position, we have the Gold Coast Suns. Get around them. This will be the year that the Suns make the 8. They're going to sneak in. They are going to make finals. Come on, you Suns. I reckon this is the year the Suns finally break through and make the finals for the first time in their club's history. Marbiok Shoal up forward. He's going to kick 60 or more, I reckon. Took Miller. He's a sneaky chance for the Brownlow. He's going to rack up those possessions, feed them down to Marbiok Shoal in the forward line. The Suns, everything's just going to click for them this year. Stuart Dew, who doesn't love Stuart Dew? You gotta love Stewie Dew. Stewie Dew knows that if the Suns don't make finals this year, his job will be at stake and he'll potentially lose his job. It's almost a lock at this point, almost guaranteed that Stewie Dew will lose his job if the Suns are not able to manage finals. I think if they make finals, and I know they will make finals, Marby or Chol, how can you not go past them? I reckon the Suns will make finals and they could even finish higher than 8th, but at this point, I'm going to put them in 8th. Coming in at 7th spot on the ladder, once again just sneaking in the finals, I have the Melbourne Demons. I have seen a lot of people putting them outside their 8, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. You can't be putting the D's outside the 8. Even 7th I feel is a little bit low, but for me, I'm going to go off what other people are saying. I'm a little bit influenced by the other fans. I'm going to put them a little bit lower than top 4. I think they might fall a little bit. They weren't as convincing at the later stages, mid to late stages of last year. Obviously dropping a few games they potentially should have won. I did tip them to win the premiership last year, so I really thought they should have. They had probably one of the best lists in the comp. Although bringing in Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn now is just going to be, wow, what a combo that's going to be. That is going to be a really, really scary combination for a lot of teams. And I think if they get up and running, Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn and Petrarca and Clayton Oliver, then D's are a chance for the flag again. I think there's nothing stopping the D's from winning it at home in front of 100,000 Melbourne supporters. I know the D's are still going to be hungry for another flag. They're definitely going to want to win one in front of their home crowd at the packed MCG. They won one at Optus, but I don't think that's enough for the D's. I think they're going to come fighting, they're going to come hungry, and a lot of people are writing them off, but do not write off the Demons. At 6th position, I think they're going to make the finals quite comfortably, maybe a game or two clear. I have Port Adelaide. this could come as a shock to a few people. I think a few people have them outside their 8, but I think how can you not have power in your top 8? Last year they started 0-5, and it is incredibly hard to come back and revive your season after starting 0-5. I think they got a little bit unlucky a few of those early games. I think they're going to really just take the next step back to their old form, which we all know Power are an absolute powerhouse when they get up and running, especially at the Adelaide Oval. They are incredibly hard to beat, and myself as a Cats fan, I'm incredibly nervous to have to make the trip over to Adelaide this year and play Port Adelaide on Thursday night. I think they could definitely do a number on us there, and I'm very bullish on the Port Adelaide Power this year. I think they're going to go a long way in the season. Now, coming in at 5th position, narrowly missing out on top 4, I have the Fremantle Dockers. Freo will narrowly miss out on top 4 in my opinion, coming in at 5th. I think losing Rory Lobb could hurt them slightly, but also bringing in Luke Jackson is obviously going to be massive for the club. I really like the way their coach goes about it, Justin Longmire. I really rate him as a coach. They can do a lot of good things, the Freo Dockers. As you saw last year, they beat Geelong at home, so they can do anything. I've got a lot of faith in the Fremantle Football Club. Alex Pearce stepping up to be captain for 2023, I think will really help the Freo Dockers as well. A fresh new set of eyes through the captaincy, I think, can really go a long way at the Fremantle Football Club. And I think Alex Pearce will be a great leader for the club. And I think they're just going to win a lot more games this year, and even maybe make the top 4. Could surprise a few people, but for now, I've got them finishing up 5th. To get things started in the top 4, and the first team that will be making the top 4, I have the Richmond Football Club. I think a few people are writing them off, but I just can't write off the Tigers. They're an absolute powerhouse. They had the dynasty a few years ago. I think bringing in Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper can really help the Tigers this year. I think they're still a very, very young team. A lot of senior players can really help them, and also a lot of youth. Damien Hardwick, what a coach he has been. I think he'll take another level this year. They've had a few quiet seasons, a few off seasons, but I think they're going to be back in top 4 contention and premiership contention come 2023. I think a lot of their players are really just going to take the next step to win one more flag. I think if they don't win one this year, they might start to drop off quite dramatically. But yeah, the Tigers, for me, they're going to make the top 4. Coming in at 3rd position, securing the double chance, I have the Brisbane Lions. Now, a lot of people have them finishing 1st or 2nd. I'm going to have them 3rd. And this could come as a bit of a surprise. I don't actually, it was very hard for me to find a spot for the Brisbane Lions in the top 8, but I had to come to my senses. I had to start thinking realistically here. The Brisbane Lions are going to be an absolute powerhouse. Some of the players I brought in, including Dunkley, they're going to be absolutely unstoppable. You'd think they're going to win 99% of their games up at the Gabba. I think they've broken the Melbourne curse now. They're going to come down to Melbourne and win a lot more games they should have been winning over these past years. I think this is the Lions here. They're really going to take it up to a lot of those, Geelongs there. The Melbournes, the Richmonds are going to become that premiership team, maybe win a dynasty. That Will Ashcroft, handy for them as well. I think the Brisbane Lions, this is their chance. The Brisbane Lions, if it's not now, it's never. The Brisbane Lions are going to finish 3rd this year, and I reckon they're going to go a long way in finals. Now, coming in at 2nd, I have the Geelong Cats. I'm not going to put them 1st because that's a little bit biased, I feel, even though I think they're going to win the premiership by 100 points and breeze through, win 33 games straight. But anyway, I'm going to have the Geelong Cats in 2nd. What a team we are, coming off the back of an absolute wonderful premiership. Joel Selwood retiring could hurt the club minutely, I feel. We've just got the new captains announced yesterday, Patrick Dangerfield and Tommy Stewart, which I'm pretty keen on, pretty excited to see how they go. Obviously, not having Joel's leadership on the field and off the field is going to hurt the club very, very slightly, but I think we'll still go a long way. We're still a lock for a prelim, I think, and I think we'll definitely make another grand final and give it a red-hot crack come the end of the season. Now, if you've been keeping track at all, you'll know which team is left, which team is going to win first and win the minor premiership, and it is the Navy Blues. Carlton, a lot of people aren't backing them in. Some people reckon they're going to finish 9th again or just outside finals. I'm saying the Navy Blues. Have you seen their list? Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, Harry Mackay, Curnow brothers. They are just an absolute powerhouse. Michael Voss, I love him. He's a great coach. I reckon the Blues are going to go all the way this year. They're going to go straight up to finals. No one's going to expect it. They're going to be that Melbourne of old that we knew what they did in 2021. I think Carlton are going to just shock everyone, take out the minor premiership, win the minor premiership by a game or 2 ahead of the Cats. And I think Carlton, they're going to be unstoppable come 2023. And it's going to be very hard for them to be beaten up. If somehow Carlton don't make the finals, I'll be very, very shocked. I'll come back to this video and I'll probably punch a hole through my window, because if the Carlton Blues don't make finals, then something's really wrong internally at the club. I feel there'll have to be a big investigation into what's going on at the club. If they don't make finals, they have an absolute wonderful list. talent everywhere, left, right, centre, on and off the field. So yeah, Carlton, minor premiership, they're going to go a long way in 2023. So those are going to be my ladder predictions for 2023. Incredibly hard to predict. I think one of the hardest years. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a season coming into 2023. We just had an absolute belter of a season in 2022. This is a very hard season to predict 2023. I think a lot of teams could finish anywhere. Like just for instance, Dogs could finish as low as 15th, but also as high as top 4. So it's very, very hard to predict, but those are my predictions that I've gone with for season 2023. Now let's get on to my finals, premiership, and my medal predictions. Kicking off the medal winners, I'm going to go with the Brownlow medalist. Also pretty hard to predict this early on. We haven't really seen anyone play yet, but I'm going to lock in Tuke Miller. I think if the Suns are going to go make finals, which I think they will, Tuke Miller is really going to need to start rack up those disposals like he has been. But I think this is going to be the year that Tuke Miller goes to another level. He's going to win the Brownlow quite comfortably, I believe, maybe by 3 or 4 votes in the end. And I think Tuke Miller, put your bets on him, lock him in, gamble responsibly. But Tuke Miller, lock him in for the Brownlow. He's going to be an absolute superstar this year. The Coleman medal, sticking with the Suns here, I'm going to go Mabior Chol. He's one that a lot of people, might not pick to be the Coleman medalist. But once again, I said the Suns are going to make the 8, and if they're going to make the 8, they're going to need their key players to start stepping up. So Mabior Chol for the Coleman, I reckon he'll have 55, 60 plus goals. Mabior Chol is a very good athlete, he can run quite fast and quite smoothly, which is really handy for a key forward. You don't see that too often, but Mabior Chol, he's going to have an absolute cracker of a season, and so are the Suns. Mabior Chol, 60 plus goals and win the Coleman. Now for my rising star prediction. I'm not too familiar with the draft, I'm not too familiar with the younger players yet, but I will lock in someone who I can really get around, and that is Phoenix Foster, everybody! Phoenix Foster, he's going to surprise everyone, he's going to get his games in early in the season, he's going to just progress through the season nicely, maybe have a little bit of a slow patch in the middle of the season, but then he's going to come back firing later stages to the season, going to absolutely one and truly take out that rising star medal. There's no one that can stop him. Phoenix Foster, I'm fairly confident that he can win the Rising Star. If he does, I'll be quite surprised, but no one's really talking about Phoenix Foster yet, but I am. Phoenix Foster for Rising Star, watch out. Move on for my final prediction of the video. This is going to be my grand final predictions. The 2 teams that I think will make the grand final personally, and those 2 teams are going to be the team that made the minor premiership and the team that finished 3rd. That's going to be the Geelong Cats and the Carlton Football Club. What an absolute cracker Carlton v Geelong at the MCG would be for a grand final. Tickets would sell out in minutes. It would be one of the grand finals for the ages. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker of a grand final and a cracker of a season. But anyway, if you guys went on to enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. Lots of AFL content coming out soon now that we are in the AFL season. Also the fan TVs, I know you guys get around there with more of them coming every single week. So make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.